You're listening to WGBB, Long Island's oldest radio station. I'm Brad Ellis.
And I am Scott Honickman.
And this is Nonsense News Nation, your news with a comedic twist.
In just a few minutes.
Popeyes releases a chicken sandwich to die for.
Forget the McDonald's drive-thru. That's what one kid did, calling the police for a Happy Meal.
Nazi turtles have been spotted and tagged.
In the U.S., we throw baseballs. In Canada, they're throwing fecal fastballs.
Japan has done it again, glorifying feet.
How do I compete with that? James Dean returns to the movie scene while still being very much dead.
Some poor souls get insulin injections instead of the flu shot.
All this and much, much more coming up on Nonsense News Nation. Once again, your news with comedic twist. This is a very special show. Did you know that, Scott? Did you know that?
When I look around me, I can tell. We have a full house today. We have
It's
two
a fuller
very
house.
special.
Forget that. It's the new updated Full House.
We have Fuller House.
with the same cast.
We
So we got
have Uncle Jesse
Ben
here.
Schwartz, who is a
Again.
regular,
Thank you.
fellow Jew. We always welcome those on the show, but we're going to be a little diverse and get a non-Jewish person. This is Sarah DeMauro.
Hi, how you doing?
We're doing great, Sarah. Thanks for being on the show today. And very special story about her. She used to be part of our old show, The Damage Report, which was similar to this show.
Pretty much the
Yeah,
exact
it's
same
like
thing.
the
with a
same
different name.
format,
Or-
I think.
It was a half an hour long more of nonsense. So once again, she's coming back here for some more ridiculous news, having some fun along the way. This is also our 10th show here at WGBB.
Wow, it's a special show. I
10
didn't realize
Mazel
this.
tov.
10-year anniversary.
Congrats.
It feels like 10 years at this point.
We've been doing this for 95 years.
We
man.
have a website now, and I gotta give mad props to my boy Ben Schwartz here. Ben, can you just speak about yourself and your role with Nonsense News Nation?
Well, I've been promoted to the big dog. I'm now the graphic designer of Nonsense News Nation, so you can see my artwork on all of the title cards and all of the logos and whatever. I'm redesigning slowly all of the old title cards for that, so they're cleaner, they're funnier, they're more new, and might I say, epic.
So he's pretty much the
Super
the Steve Ditko of the show, as Scott and I are the Stan Lee. And you know what? You're the superhero today.
Okay.
The
I'm making
super
a comic
guest.
book theme
Does that
for
make
some
me
reason.
Superman or Superwoman or
You
what am
can
I?
be whichever
Keep
super.
it Marvel here, sweetie.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna be Green Goblin then. I know it's a supervillain, but I like him.
He is super.
And you do have the green Jets gloves. So
Yeah, I do,
You have
so.
you already have.
All right, so anyway, a lot to celebrate, but you
Yes,
know what? We
yes.
can always celebrate a good story. So we're going to go to our first segment. We call that National News. And why is that, Scott? I'm
Well,
curious.
Brandon, I will tell you with a joyous smile on my face, national news, or as it's implied, news all over America. You find the craziest stories
God
here in
bless
this
it.
crazy
God bless it.
country. Well, it was just like any other Monday in Oxon Hill, Maryland. Ben, as I'm looking you in the eye.
Ugh, Mondays. Call me Garfield, but not a fan.
Well, this victim was not a fan, clearly. Of
Oh,
me.
oh my God.
The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and dozens were lining up to get their hands on a greasy fried chicken sandwich. As you may recall, the popular fast food chain Popeyes re-released their just as popular chicken sandwich last week, and some were so excited to eat it that lines began forming outside of the restaurants. At this one particular Popeyes, however, one hungry citizen just could not wait in line fairly, and the anticipation of the sandwich literally killed him.
He died?
If I will tell the story,
Okay, sorry.
I know,
Alright,
I'm
I'm
very
just
good at
surprised.
building up the tension, Sarah,
Okay.
and I will deliver, I
Okay.
promise. 28-year-old Kevin Davis began cutting the line at the Oxon Hills Popeyes last Monday in an effort to be the first to eat the sandwich. This led to an altercation with one chicken sandwich fanatic who had been waiting in line fairly all morning. The argument quickly became violent as Davis was stabbed to death by the unknown line goer.
Was it with a spork?
He was stabbed to death
With the chicken bone.
with the... I hope there's no bones in my chicken sandwich.
So they're
Imagine it was
Boneless
with a KFC chicken piece. How sacrilege that would be.
Come on, continue.
See, if
You
you're
got
gonna
this.
die
I'm
at
just about
Popeye.
done here. I mean, there's no happy ending to this story.
Come on, Scott, you got this.
Okay, he was revived moments later.
Scott,
and
just
then
make it
died
happy.
in the hospital. All right.
It's a Disney
All right,
ending.
I will say something to make this happy. There is a lesson to be learned here. I think the lesson is that no matter how hungry you are, you have to wait your turn in line to be served. Doesn't matter, you don't cut in line. People have been waiting longer than you.
They
And
also might have a knife on them that you
They
don't
may
know
have a
about.
knife, and they may be so hungry they might just use that knife without thinking.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're not too hungry right now. If you want to leave and take a quick lunch break, we don't blame you, because it's going to get a lot more hungrier. It's going to be pretty much like Hungry, the country, once we go into our next story right here that I have for you. And it's about not Popeyes.
No.
It's a lot nicer of a story. It's about McDonald's.
We're going to get sponsored by so many fast food chains. It's not even
Except
funny.
Taco Bell. They don't like me for some reason.
Why not?
I don't know.
We'll get into it.
It's
at
a long
later date.
story.
20th show anniversary.
All right, so anyway, let's go into my story here. So, here in the New York area, you probably can't go 2 centimeters without seeing McDonald's golden arches. Am I right?
Yeah. There's like 3 by my house.
They're pretty much surrounding your house.
Yeah, always.
So the very sight of the fast food chain can clog an artery for us bagel-eating, coffee-drinking New Yorkers at this point. There's
Where's
so
my
many.
coffee? I'm walking here.
It's at McDonald's, you son of a gun. I'm curious, though. A bit curious. Do other states have this problem other than New York? I ask this because in our next story, a 5-year-old from Phoenix, Arizona was so desperate for a Happy Meal that he called the police. When the police got the child's plea for some Mickey D's, instead of treating it like a prank call like most officers probably would, this one had a very different approach. The officer actually took time out of his busy day to order a Happy Meal and bring it to the kid.
That's a very happy
That's
story.
very wholesome.
Very wholesome.
It continues. It gets better if you could believe it. Except for the Burger King fans. They must be really depressed right now. I can imagine that he didn't have to go through much of a line at the restaurant if he had all the sirens on. Whee, emergency!
It's an emergency.
Everyone freeze! Kid's hungry! Is he from Africa? No, he's from Arizona. He's from across the block. Typically, a McDonald's Happy Meal comes with a toy. But this kid's Happy Meal had something a lot more meaningful this time
The
around.
cop's gun.
That's the best
Pepper
toy
spray
of all.
to add some spice and everything nice to your burger. Okay, so when handling the child, handing the child his free
Handling the
food, I hope not. So when he handed the child his free food, the officer gave him advice on how to properly call 911 and not use a gun, Scott. He was even kind enough to pose for a little photo with the kid. It's pretty sweet. Say what you will about a cop handing you McDonald's. At least it's not a clown.
That's
like
less
Ronald
scary than a
McDonald.
clown.
At least the clown doesn't have a gun and pepper spray. Well,
I mean,
hope
have you
not.
seen Joker?
Have you seen Joker?
That's not a clown.
You know, I've been
That's a
thinking about
deranged
this.
man.
McDonald's has the Happy Meal, but what does Burger King and Wendy's have? They don't have anything like
Wendy's
Burger King has
a
the Whopper.
dope Twitter account, and Burger King has
the
the
Impossible
monarchy,
Whopper.
the British on their side.
But they don't have an iconic kids meal.
Sponsor us all. As I was going to say before, I think we should move on to my story. If that's okay, Ben? Is that okay with
Yeah,
you?
that's fine.
All right, cool. Well, guys, it appears that our heroes in a half shell may not be our heroes at all. 2 turtles were spotted this past Tuesday in Renton, Washington with swastikas spray painted onto their shells. Which turtles do you think it was? Do you think it was
Definitely
Leonardo?
not the Ninja Turtles.
I think it
I
was
don't think so.
Michelangelo. He was definitely a prankster. He probably made a deal with the pizzeria in order to get a nice slice of pizza. He had to help the racist employee and put a thing on his. Yeah, I don't even want to say it. It's just so bad.
No. I think we'll just continue. I could never trust Raphael, Leonardo. I think it was them. I guess I trust my instincts here. Anyways, I digress. The turtles were spotted by beachgoers at Jean Kalam Memorial Park Beach in Renton, Washington, as I reaffirm. Shocked by the anti-Semitic...
Shell-shocked.
Shell-shocked. That's way better.
Yeah, it's
Maybe it was Splinter. Maybe Splinter did this.
Splinter definitely did
Splinter
this.
did this.
Nazi's gonna get splinters after this story.
Splinter
Maybe this
was
is
an
advertised
SS
like the Jojo
officer.
Rabbit.
This
Maybe
is a
they'll-
Jojo
maybe
Rabbit
they'll
marketing
run into,
campaign.
Hey, maybe those guys will run into the Popeyes guy.
It all connects. It
Yeah,
all
it all
comes
connects.
first, full circle. Speaking of full circle, shell-shocked by anti-Semitic animal cruelty that they spotted, the unnamed beachgoers reported what they had seen to the police department. Officers then got into contact with local nonprofits to help clean the spray paint off the shells. The once Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have now grown up and began blaming another group of people for their problems, just like every adult we know.
You see, the Ninja Turtles, every 2 years or so, they get a different reboot. And it's always been edgier than the last.
I think this takes it a little too far.
It does take it a little too far, for sure.
A little too far,
I
right.
think Master Splinter has been doing a very bad job training the Turtles. And I'm actually rooting for Shredder this time around.
Shredder's Jewish. Shredder's Shredder!
The main villain of Ninja Turtles is Jewish.
But I think Brandon has a story for us.
I
now.
do, and
Brandon
we're
does
going to
have a
actually switch to our next segment of the show. We've been around the country, and we're sick of seeing Turtles of Swats because we don't like it. So we're going to go around the world for international news and see if there are some more wholesome stories in that.
I hope so.
Unfortunately, our next story isn't very wholesome whatsoever.
Brandon, you tricked us again.
Aw.
So for our first international story, we're going to take our next story to the murky depths of Canada. So this woman, who for all intents of the story, I'm going to call the poop monster, was caught on surveillance dropping a load inside a Tim Hortons restaurant and throwing a fecal fastball at a nearby employee. More fearsome than a moose on steroids and more elusive than a Sasquatch, the poop monster roams the Canadian wilderness. Need a second.
Technical
So
difficulties with giggling.
I'm losing it. She roams the Canadian wilderness looking for her next victim. Reportedly, she was denied access to the woman's restroom, obviously, by an employee who was untrusting of the poop monster.
Maybe because she would throw it on the ceiling if they brought her in.
I wouldn't trust her if she
It's a
threw it on the ground.
It's a statement.
So, simply put it, the employee was looking out for the guests. She didn't trust this woman to go to the restroom because she was causing a scene before. If being concerned over the well-being of customers doesn't grant you Employee of the Month, then maybe a pile of human excrement to the face will.
Oh.
Oh yeah, it happened. After arguing with the employee, the poop monster pulled down her pants, exposing all her lady parts and
Your
all of its
alliteration is
glory.
on point.
Thanks. She unleashed a beast and then pitched a curveball of dung at the employee. I have to point out that she had enough composure to grab some napkins afterwards to wipe her hands along with herself. So if you're a Canadian listener fearing for your personal hygiene, do not fret. She's been arrested and out of public sight. I'd still worry about those moose on steroids, though. Those bucks are crazy. That's my story.
That was a story.
It broke me, so
That
I'm going
was
to
a story,
stop
Scott.
and let you go, Scott. That was too much for
How
me.
can I one up this? Well, I could do a story that's also about human body parts, so to speak.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Oh,
With
yeah.
a different
favorite.
kind of body parts.
Oh, you'll find out.
I can't wait.
Okay. Give me the mic, please. And
course.
now
They're fighting for the mic. They're
You
fighting
know,
over dominance.
Sarah, as you're pointing out, they are literally sharing a mic right now. It's like an old Jewish
I've
couple
never
bickering
been
and arguing.
so happy.
Give
the
me the mic.
sexual tension between them is very tense. You can cut it with a knife.
Here we go. Oh, Japan. When will your culinary wonders ever cease? The Eastern Asian country is no stranger to fetishizing. I think I said that correctly.
Fetishizing.
Yeah, you said it
That's an
right.
SAT word.
That is a very hard word to pronounce. Every part of the human body. They have even gone as far as incorporating fetishes into their cuisines, including last year's Girls Sweat Karaage. But this year, they have done it again, now using women's feet as the basis for a new dish. The popular takeout chain in Tokyo, Tenkan Torimasu, has added girl's soul to their fried chicken menu. This
The
form
sole of a girl's foot or
Yes.
the actual
No,
sole?
the latter.
That seems
Oh.
a little cruel.
The former, my mistake.
The former, okay.
They don't actually use real feet. I'm sad to say.
I meant actual souls.
Okay. We'll get into Soul Eater fan fiction after
All right,
this.
that's for next week.
Yeah, of course. This form of fried chicken is said to mimic the taste and the texture of a young woman's foot. How, you may ask? Well, a type of soybean called natto is fermented and then spread onto the fried chicken. Now, natto is supposedly similar in texture to the sole of a foot.
Natto edible.
Is it
Don't
smelly
eat.
like a foot? That's my question.
Supposedly, yes.
Really?
Well, not smelly in the sense that this smells bad.
Yeah,
It
but it's
smells-
smelly.
And be warned, Japanese listeners, there's always a chance that you may contract athlete's foot with every bite.
or the gout.
Or gout.
The gout. The athlete's
Is
foot.
the gout contagious though?
I think we'll have to ask
Some of my gout.
this.
Okay. I'm gonna
Share it.
try your gout after the show.
Speaking of our Japanese listeners, for our Japanese listeners willing to try this ambitious new dish, you can purchase it at any Tenka Torimasu location for 400 yen. Does anyone want to guess how much 400 yen is in American dollars?
How many human
$200.
feet? How many human feet? I don't know.
Why would you spend $200 on one dish?
I'm gonna say $25.
$3.60.
Really?
400 yen. $3.60.
I was gonna
Or-
make a joke and say $2,
or
but I
hear me
was
out.
closer.
You were very
Listen,
close.
hear me out. You could do that, or you could just lick your friend's foot.
But I want fried chicken too.
Fry
You
the
can
foot
get
and lick
both.
it. It's a lot cheaper. It's not ethical, but it's a lot cheaper.
I think we're gonna move on to our next
I
story.
think we
here
should.
before this gets any
And
more.
Scott, out of curiosity, for our new guest, Sarah here, what would be our next segment of the show?
Well, Brandon, our next segment would be local news, if I'm correct.
Do we have a local story?
Do you have a local story?
I'm afraid I do not. So what's the next segment after that?
Fails
Oh,
and-
rest in
fails and
peace, local
sports.
story.
Which
Okay,
is
we're gonna
which
go-
is on me.
We're going to go to fails then.
We don't
Sorry
have a
for-
sports story. We do have a fail. So this is
Oh,
a very
God,
good
we
fail.
are running dry.
But we'll be lacking stories we compensate for in great guests. For fails, this week we have a fail not caused by your average Joe, but by a medical professional. Now, when a medical professional fails, I would assume many people are affected by it. Not just that person.
Unless it's a 4-year-old playing doctor. It's totally different.
Or me when I'm at the CBD store pretending to be a doctor.
Yikes.
which helps people buy the product. Anyway, a nurse in Oklahoma, or a pharmacist rather, accidentally injected insulin into 10 elderly disabled people
Oh no.
instead of administering the flu shot.
Elderly and disabled. That's a wicked combination.
I know.
I don't
So
think
wait-
that's going to help, though, the insulin.
If you don't need insulin and you get injected with insulin, does that mean you get a superpower like a super pancreas?
You get super diabetes.
Super diabetes. Okay.
Diabetes type 4000.
I was
And
gonna say
unfortunately,
like type
that's
12.
not a power. It's a straight-up weakness.
Yeah.
Oh, as you'll come to find as the story progresses.
Oh, yikes.
This nearly fatal fail took place at Jacqueline House, which is a facility that houses many intellectually and developmentally disabled adults. According to EMS, residents of the home who had been injected with insulin were found unresponsive and were all quickly rushed
Oh no.
to Jane Phillips Hospital. The scary thing about this fail is that many of the residents were unresponsive naturally prior to being injected to insulin because they were developmentally disabled.
Right? It happens.
And they were unable to communicate with EMS and the nurses of what
Oh
exactly the
my.
problem was.
Golly goshness.
But this does have a happy ending.
They went to heaven. What's happy about this, Scott?
The happy
Spin it around, I
part,
dare you. How
I
can
will
you
spin
do
it
this?
around.
Did they get their flu shot?
They were all all 10 victims, excuse me.
10, 11 victims.
All 10,011 victims.
7-Eleven victims.
Investigate 1011.
Thankfully, all 10 victims have since been released from the hospital, and Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself.
You
I
heard
knew
it
it.
here on Nonsense News Nation.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all the facts. All right,
And
so
with
that
that
was,
being
that was
said-
fails. So as Scott fails to keep a straight face, it's the point of the show. It's
It is-
Nonsense News Nation.
I think it
We're
was a
gonna
win.
go to our final segment. It was definitely a win. We're gonna go to entertainment news for your entertainment.
This is always my favorite segment. Woo!
Are we ready? It better be
I think I'm
entertainment.
ready.
man.
All right. So for our story here.
Up top.
So did you guys hear about the upcoming movie Finding Jack? Did you hear about it?
Is this Finding Nemo ripoff?
No.
I'm just asking. It's a yes or no question.
To it.
Either
I
yes,
have not
no, or
heard of
can't
it.
answer yes or no.
But I have found my Jack right here. It's
Oh,
Jack
hell
of all
yeah.
trades, known as Ben Schwartz.
I
Oh,
found
thank
my
you.
Jill.
Let me tickle you.
Oh no.
That's you, Sarah.
Yay!
All right. So you may think that this is an Adam Sandler movie with a prequel. It's a sequel to Jack and Jill, where Jill has to find Jack.
I've
Who
been
knows?
dying for that sequel. I've been waiting for like 8 years.
Yeah,
Were you dying like the Popeyes?
But-
yeah, I was. I choked on a biscuit too.
but actually, this has no relation to Adam Sandler. I'm sorry, all two of you who
we
care.
should get Adam Sandler on the show.
We should. He needs work. So what if I told you instead of Adam Sandler, they got James Dean for the project?
Oh, I did hear about this.
Yeah, you know James Dean, the actor from the 50s, who
passed
died in
away.
the 50s. Well, he's back and ready for some more fun in the Hollywood scene.
Oh, is he hanging out with Michael Jackson's hologram?
Oh, don't worry, paranormal believers or projector people like Sarah. Hollywood isn't being haunted. James Dean is still very much dead. The filmmakers are just using CGI technology to throw the clearly dead actor back to life in this new movie. While your elderly grandma at the retirement home may be happy to see Mr. Dean again, Chris Evans isn't too happy. Yes, Captain Freaking America is putting his foot down. In a tweet he said, quote, "This is awful. Maybe we can get a computer to paint us a new Picasso," Evans wrote.
I did hear.
Or write a couple of new John Lennon tunes. The complete lack of understanding here is shameful. Avengers Assemble.
Did he actually say Avengers Assemble at the
He
end?
said in Endgame, but he didn't say in the tweet.
But didn't they do that for like a few movies, especially in Star Wars, with Carrie Fisher,
Yeah, they
Peter Cushing, and a few others, right?
Yeah, they did that, but again,
Yeah.
it's bring a lot of controversy. And in fact, Chris Evans was the only one who spoke up. We actually have Elijah Wood who spoke out. Yes, Frodo freaking Baggins
Hell yeah.
had a lot to say about the return of James Dean. And lucky for you, we have a clip of what Mr. Woods had to say about our dear old dead pal, James Dean. James Dean. Here, take a listen.
It's you. You can't help me anymore. Go home.
He's telling James Dean to go back from the dead. That's actually a clip from Lord of the Rings. Scott, watch the movies.
I've seen the first
That-
one.
They're
That's-
good.
There's two more.
You should watch
They're
all
very-
3.
So in all
Watch the
seriousness-
We watched
extended
over the
hours.
summer.
It's over 72 hours of content. It's relatable. Wholesome.
Guys, in all
I have
seriousness,
spare time.
he actually just said, nope, this shouldn't be a thing. Simple as that. So a lot of public figures, even besides them, are being very vocal against this. But, I mean, all I will say, for the sake of the American way and apple pie, we should probably listen to what Captain America has to say.
I agree.
He represents your country. Even over the president. I said it. So
Really
in
quickly.
the video game that beats all video games,
Yeah, we could talk about that
Super
too.
Smash Brothers Ultimate. there
Best-selling
was-
fighting game of all time as of last week.
That is true.
Oh, cool.
They have a DLC pass, and they're releasing 5 different characters throughout the year, and they have 3 characters already released, and then they got a new one, Terry Beauregard from what was it?
Fatal Fury.
Fatal Fury
And
which is
King of
old
Fighters.
90s.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So I mean, I was very confused. I didn't know about him before,
I
but
don't know much about him.
actually playing him, for all the naysayers, including myself, I take it all back. He's a lot of fun.
all of the DLC characters have been really good.
They have been, yeah.
have been really good.
So
Solid.
please give Nintendo your money. I know you're giving Disney your money
And
with
Nintendo give us
with,
your money. Sponsor us.
with Disney Plus, but Nintendo, they deserve a few little more chings.
When
if
does
you know what I'm
Disney
saying.
Plus come out?
November
Very soon.
12th. That is all the time we have for today. Sarah, thank you
Goes by
so much
so
for being on the
fast.
show.
Thank you for having
For
me.
bringing back the old
Time
Damage
flies
Report
when you're having
memories, having our old show back.
I'm
It was
almost having
great.
Fun with you, Ben.
Thank you, Scott.
Look at that old bickering Jewish
Aw.
couple. We gotta love them.
Such a lovely
But unfortunately,
couple.
we have to depart. So, Ben, thank you so much for being on the show once
Again.
again. Scott, just thank you for
Anytime.
being you.
Thank you for having me, Brandon.
Brandon, thank you. I'm speaking
you.
like Elmo in the third person right now. But that's it. So if you want to sponsor us or be a guest on the show, you can always contact us at nonsensenewsradio@gmail.com. That's nonsensenewsradio@gmail.com. We are on Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube. We have a website, nonsensenewsnation.com. We are everywhere. You have no excuse. Please check us out. Have an awesome rest of your day.